Hey everybody, this is Drew Richardson here with ASR Miniature Art, doing another event review for the Masters 2023 / Best of the Rest 2023. More than likely going to just be talking about Best of the Rest because I did that one. I didn't participate in Masters because I didn't qualify. But first, before we get too far into it, just want to kind of explain what those events are. It's a Kings of War event, which is a rank and file miniature game that I play that you guys have probably seen a couple reviews for by now of mine. Masters is a 64-man event that is an invitational for the top 8 players of the 8 regions that Kings of War has in the U.S. So you have to earn points to qualify and then attend. However, most Masters events do a Best of the Rest tournament next to it, which Best of the Rest is just a open event, 5-round tournament that anybody can go to, anybody can sign up. And so if you have friends going to be in Masters that got invited and you still want to go and have some fun, you can join Best of the Rest. This year was 64-man for Masters, and it always is. And then it was 44 people for Best of the Rest. So we had 108 total people, making this the largest Kings of War event to date. And that's pretty awesome. 44 people's pretty good considering a lot of the people that attend events are the ones that are in Masters. So the fact that we were able to get 64 Masters contenders and then also 44 more people to show up and play, that's a pretty good sized Kings event. And I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to go over kind of my experience, go over my games, go over my opponents, go over some final thoughts and things like that. However, I do also want to just, before I get into that, have a couple things that I want to kind of clear up. They're not negative things, and in fact, overall, the event was fantastic. I hope nothing I say throughout this video gives the impression that I didn't enjoy it or that it's negative. The event was a blast, and after I've had some time to sleep and really think on it, I'm really excited for next year as well. Hopefully, I'll actually get to qualify for Masters though, and I'll give you guys a review of how that goes then. So, but these things are just kind of things that I would want to know going in, and I think it's only fair to share them and be totally honest with you guys when I give these reviews. If I just sugarcoat everything, you're not going to have a real understanding of how the event goes. The big one is that Masters is a 6-round event. And they do that because most of the time, like 99% of the time, there will be a clear undefeated winner after 6 rounds with 64 players. Best of the Rest is not 6 rounds. It is 5 rounds. So we had 2 of our club mates playing in Masters, and then me and Mark Bryson, one of my other club mates, were in Best of the Rest. We had a whole 2 hours to wait for them to finish their tournament. And so what we did is we brought miniatures to build, and we built minis and just kind of shot the shit for a little bit. I just want people to know that if you go to Best of the Rest, you will need to have something to kind of probably do in the meantime because Masters will be another round than ours is. And I'm not saying I want the 6th round for Best of the Rest either. I really don't. 6 rounds is a lot of energy, and that's something else to know too. Is even if you're going to Masters, or you're familiar with all this, you're going to be exhausted. 6 rounds is a lot of gaming, so just be prepared for those things. The other one is, and to me, this shouldn't be something that matters, but again, it's just something that I want to be transparent about because a lot of times people evaluate worth of attending events, especially ones that they don't, maybe it's far for them to go to. Prize support, while there was honestly quite a bit of prize support, they do a raffle system, which I think is the best way to do prize support. They just call names, and then from either event you can get something. There's not enough prize support for everybody to get something. Now I'm not saying that that's a norm or that's a bad thing, but just know that it's really hard to cover that much ground. 108 people, that's a lot of product. So don't expect to just go out with something. You could lose all your games that weekend and get nothing. So even the people who placed and got overalls and best generals and stuff, they got a plaque and maybe a sword or something like the Masters player. So just want to be transparent. Those aren't things that bother me, but I just know that some people, they won't, every little thing to decide a tournament, it matters. So with that, let me kind of just go over the trip down and then kind of talk about my club mates, and I'll have photos up going over all this as well as I go through the event. But the trip down, we went from Oklahoma to Omaha, Nebraska. That's an 8-hour drive. I woke up at 5 Friday morning and had some coffee and breakfast, and then went to my friend Lance's house, and we all left in Andrew's truck from there at about 6:45, 7, and got to Omaha sometime that afternoon. had a really nice meal at a meatball restaurant. Blackstone Meatball, I think is the name of it. And just kind of set up tables, helped out a little bit, and then enjoyed just the company of all the other regions and players there. So, which that's my favorite part about the event, honestly, is just getting to see all the people from everywhere. I've got my mountain region guys that I love and my south region guys that I love, but I have friends from coast to coast that I only get to see maybe once a year. So, and this is the time to get to do that. This event really celebrates not only good play and good players, but also just celebrates the community itself and what the game is. So I really enjoy that. And my crew, the OK crew, or my club, the OK crew, was Andrew Minton, Lance Hasher, Mark Bryson, and myself went. We have other clubmates that couldn't attend, but we're definitely going to let them know how much fun they missed out on. That was all of us that went down. There was also a hospitality room that had a bunch of food and alcohol and just a good place to hang out at a hotel nearby. We stayed in a different hotel though, so we did not partake in that. Just because most of the time we were exhausted after our games and we didn't want to have to drive back and forth between different hotels. So, but I heard it was fantastic, and so that's a ton of fun to me. I think that's really like the opening gist of it all. Had a great time, and I'm looking forward to the next one. But before that, before I move on, I think that's really all there is to talk about before I get into my games. I'll go ahead and give a rundown of my list that I played too, and I'll try my best to remember my opponent's list as well. Can't promise you that I'll get it all, but my list that I brought was a Draugr regiment. I was playing Berenger. A Draugr regiment, 2 Uskar regiments, 3 Snowfox regiments, 2 Sons of Korgans with the Brutal upgrade, as well as Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding and Brew of Sharpness, a Magus with Lightning Bolt 4 and Banechant 2, a Lord on Frostfang, Krufnir, and then which is a Snow Troll Prime that can give like Duelist out. The formation then that was 2 Mammoth Seth Raiders, which one of them had the Helmet Drunken Ram, and then Slicksnare, which is the character of the formation, who I gave a Snow Fox, an Axe the Giant Slayer, and the Brutal and Aura Brutal. So Brutal 2 and Aura Brutal +1. So really stout character. That guy got a lot of kills this weekend. He killed a Wraith Horde, and he killed a what was the other one he got a hold of? A Wraith Horde, and what was the other one he killed? He killed another big horde of something. He killed the Icon of Baal or whatever, which is the Force of the Abyss guy. But he also killed I think it's Scorchwing Horde. But anyways, I can't remember. So let's go over my games and my opponents and talk about how much fun we had. So we had, my first game was against Randy Travis. He's a good friend of mine that I've known, I think, for about a year or two now, down in the south. He was playing Force of the Abyss. Normally he plays Dwarves, and I was actually excited to play against Dwarves because I'm faster than them. But I did not get that pleasure. He played Force of the Abyss, and I've had a real struggle against Force of the Abyss this year. They've kind of had my number, so I was not sure how this game would end up. We were playing Raise, which is the one where we have, I believe, 3 tokens on each side. We have to get to the tokens across the side of us and burn them for points. The game pretty much came down to, I think, one kind of pivotal mistake, and then one other pretty good dice roll for me. He had an Efreet, to kind of go over his list. He had an Efreet with a bunch of Fireball, 3 of the, I think they're Tortured Souls, the like Swarm, the Fearless Swarm, the whatever of Baal, the big demon guy, 2 of the Fire Dart Thrower regiments, he had an Abyssal Warlock and Bazuzu, 2 Cronius, and then he had 2 Moloch Hordes, and I think one had like Jesse's Boots. I think that's roughly what his list was. He had the Efreet run out turn 1 to try to kill some Snow Foxes. And if I remember right, he did kill the Snow Foxes, but then my Sons of Korgans charged the Efreet. I wasn't sure if I should, but we killed it, and then we survived the hit back from some lower Abyssals or Tortured Souls and the personification of Baal. I can't remember that guy. I'm just going to call him Baal. We survived the clapback, which then let Slicksnare and them charge back and start just killing stuff. And it ended up winning me that flank pretty hard because they went uncontested. But then they got help from my other son's unit, charged Acronius and popped it in one turn. I was needing an 11 twice, or a 10 or 11. I rolled the 11. I said, that's fine. I'll just do it again. And I rolled the 11. I felt so bad. But and that just kind of just gave me a commanding position on that side. The game ended up being 4-1 because I claimed the middle and all three of my tokens. He got a charge in on some Huskarls and killed them, and then got an overrun into range of another token and grabbed it with some Molochs. But at that point, I think he ended up with Pazuzu left, and there was just not anything he could do to grab the last tokens. So it was a tough game for him because one of the things my list is really good at is being able to go wide and like cover a flank and put on some pressure, and then if they abandon that flank, I'm fast enough to still get back into the game. So what I ended up doing is I had my 2 Mammoth Separators go on the far right and Lord on Frostfang with them. And I was able to get 2 of my tokens because I was going heavy on one side. He had to match me. Boom, now I'm uncontested over here. Go grab 2 tokens and then race back into the middle. And that's what ended up, I think, even if I hadn't got those lucky plays, I still probably would have maybe not had as big of a win, but I would have had a pretty decent win. So game 2, and also big shout out to Randy. I think we were both having a struggle because we usually like to drink, and this is a dry tourney because it's held at a school. It's held at Millard West High School, which is the same venue as Bug Eater, and it's like an all like donation ran event. We donate everything to the school's clubs and stuff like that, and so we can't drink because it's a school. And him and I are usually, we like to have ourselves some drinks. So we were both fish out of water with that one. But thanks again, Randy, so much for the game. I had an absolute blast. We haven't got to play before, and I'm glad that we finally got to do that. So I had a ton of fun with you. I don't mind saying this. Like I voted best painted for him because, holy smokes, man, I loved his army. It was I don't want to say it was goofy, but it had a lot of character, and it wasn't over the top. It was a Wild West themed Force of the Abyss army with like 3D printed or green stuff, like cowboy hats on demons and stuff. It had like some really cool country song, Johnny Cash, like Man in Black themed units and things, and it was fantastic. Like his Croniuses were throwing mine carts. They looked great. And so big shout out to you, Randy. I think you did fantastic this weekend, man. After that, I played against James, who was playing Forces of Nature. And his list was a lot of fire elemental hordes, earth elemental regiments, some druids, and then a centaur brace rider horde. We were playing control, and very similar to the other game, I kind of put a bunch of stuff on a flank. He's a very slow army, which is why I think I had an advantage. And then control, he has to cover a lot of ground, which again, him being a slow army, me being a fast army, didn't work out, I think, very well. And I boxed him, so I got kind of lucky with the scenario and the matchup. But I was able to like feed snow foxes into units to buy myself time and then hit others and kill them. And so by the time they killed the snow foxes, I was freed up to then charge that unit, kill it, and then so on. And I ended up winning 7-0. I got all 6 quadrants from control, which is 7 points because you get an extra for the center one across from you. I had like some snow foxes that were able to just go get into zones, some dragger that were like on a line to move to whichever zone they needed to, and so I ended up having a pretty good game there for me. It was a really high score, and I just think it was really just a bad setup for James's army going into mine. Game 3 was against Nick Michelonis, which is another good friend of mine from the South that I've known for a long time. We've known each other for a couple of years. I think we've played once at like my first Lone Wolf maybe, or Bison Brawl or something. He was playing Undead. His list was like 4 white hordes, and I think whites are the large infantry. When I get them and wraiths mixed up, but 4 white hordes, one with Blessing of the Gods, and one with I think J Boots, Sir Jesse's Boots of Stridings, and then he had a Soul Reaver regiment, Lady Alana, 2 Revenant Kings, 2 zombie hordes, a troop of wraiths, and then a zombie troll horde. And so he had a lot of beef on the table. His list was fairly mean. We were playing Plunder, which is 1 token in the middle, and then we both placed 2. And then after choosing sides, I think it's after choosing sides. We did it right at the event because we read the rule book exactly, but we both picked one of the tokens to be worth 2 points. So and what ended up happening was my left side were a 1 point in the middle, which was 1, and then both of the 2s. So I did kind of what I've been doing, put some mammoth separators over and like maybe snowfox and some dragger off to the left to try and just pick up the 1-point tokens, and they're loot tokens. So if I pick them up, I'll be slow. I'll lose nimble, wild charge. I'll become speed 5, no flying, no surge. And so we're both kind of like, okay, well, it's going to come down to these 2-2-pointers. What ended up happening was he did put some stuff on that flank, but I ended up winning out against he had like a wraith horde and a zombie horde and a troop of wraiths and a white horde, and I was able to kill the wraiths with some shooting for my mammoth separators. But then over the course of the game, I was able to kill the rest of the stuff in that quadrant and pick up those 2 tokens in the middle. And then what ended up happening was I had a turn where I charged a zombie horde, and I charged with 2 Huskarl regiments, and I had 2 Sons of Korgans charge the zombie troll horde, and I didn't kill either one of them, and I rolled just so bad. And the way it was working out is I had sent my snow foxes into his whites to slow them down. So like if I kill this zombie troll horde and the zombie horde, I'll be freed up to then go after the whites. Well, anyways, the turn after that, Slicksneer gets charged by some Soul Reavers and lives, strangely enough. One of my Sons of Korgans dies, the other gets wavered, and then one of my Huskarls dies. So, and I think I ended up killing the zombie. Oh, and Lady Alana charged the other Huskarl regiment. So what ends up happening is my next turn, Krufnir charges the zombie horde to kill them. I think it's what ended up happening. That or I lightning bolt them. I can't remember exactly how the zombie horde died. And then I sent Slicksneer into a wraith horde, or a white horde, sorry. And then I countercharged so Krufnir into the zombie horde, countercharged Lona with the Huskarl regiment. Slicksneer goes into a white horde. Slicksneer kills the white horde. I do bring me their head, and I kill Lady Alona with the Huskarls because they get 40 attacks now. I then overrun into the flank of the Soul Reavers that tried to kill Krufnir. I kill the Soul Reavers, and then the zombie horde dies because of Krufnir. So everything that just went bad for me picked right back up. The game ended up coming down to just a really clutch play and some lucky dice for me. I ended up getting my Lord and Frostfang, was able to at the double just exactly to the middle to pick up the middle token to give me 3. But he had a zombie troll horde and a white horde with both 2-pointers. So it was going to end up becoming 4-3 score. But on bottom of 6, my Magus was able to lightning bolt, do 2 wounds to the zombie trolls, and I rolled that 7 twice and killed them. And it became 3-2 for the score. We ended up with a turn 7, but it didn't do anything. Nobody could kill something, and nobody could get more points. So very clutch game. I voted Nick for my best sports the whole weekend. That was probably the best game I had the entire weekend. Everybody just played very well. It was a really well-played game. Came down to a clutch, just last-minute roll. Despite the ups and downs, like we were sharing a pile of jelly beans, and when something was going bad for somebody, we were like slide them some jelly beans and back and forth, and I just had a lot of fun. And Nick's a great guy. I really enjoy seeing him at all the events, and I'm glad we got to play again because we don't always get to play. So I had a lot of fun, and I really appreciate something he said to me that just stuck with me, and I really cherish it because he said something along the lines of like, well, you've definitely got a lot better at Kings of War, or, well, you're definitely a lot better of a player. Something like that. And this whole year for me has been about becoming a better player and trying my best and trying to do well. And so the fact that Nick, who's seen me before when I wasn't, a few years ago and I was just brand new, and for him to be able to say that means a lot. So really appreciate that, Nick. I really actually just, that really does mean a lot to me. So, Game 4. So I'm going into the day 3-0, into day 2, and I've got a Game 4 signed up with Alan Wignis, who, fantastic guy. He's playing Sally's, and his list is pretty freaking nasty. It's 3 hordes of Scorchwings, a regiment of Scorchwings, and a Sky Lord on a Scorchwing or whatever, a horde of Tyrants, 2 Rhino Rider hordes, a couple of his individual guys, I don't know what they're all called, Ember Sprite regiments, two of them, and then 3 Lycodons. And we were playing Invade, which is already like, I don't have any anti-shooting, I don't have any stealth hardly at all. I can't get cover from my Snow Foxes because Scorchwings are height 4 for some reason. And his army is also faster than me, which is something I'm not used to as well. And so he was able to shoot and kill my Sons of Korgans off the table, I believe, turn 2. And that was pretty much the game. So that being said, we had an absolute blast. That was one of my most fun games as well. And we were just laughing the whole time. And this game and the one with James Grimaldi are both on stream. So if you can go back and watch those if you want, they were both really fun. I ended up with like a Dragger unit and a Lord alive, and I think it was like 17-3 or something. Like, he tabled me pretty well. I mean, it was brutal. I couldn't do anything against his shooting. I mean, once he killed the Sons of Korgans, I had no threat to give him. And it just can't do anything about it. So, and I'll go into, because games 4 and 5 both had some things for me to think on, and it was, I don't have a lot of, I only, my list was good into armies that I play against in my region, which, you know, there's not a ton of shooting in Mountain or South that I see, and my list was good into those. I was just not prepared for other kinds of lists, and that's the thing, is like, this is a multi-regional event. I think going forward, anytime I go to an event like this again, I need to be prepared to bring some kind of, I need to have more tools in my box. Maybe Veil of Shadows. Maybe for this event, I don't put the Brutal upgrade on the Suns. I put the Stealthy upgrade. Maybe they don't die. Maybe it takes 3 turns to kill them now instead of 2. And by that point, you know, I probably can get a charge off or something. So it's tough. And so, you know, I think I'm glad I at least lost, but I learned something. And I had a great time because Alan was fantastic. But if I'm going to lose, I want to take something with me when I lose. I want to learn something. So I really felt like I got that from my game with Alan. And then also my game 5 against Lucas Qatar, who was also playing Berenger. I got to learn something from that game as well. This was not your typical mirror match. His list was very different from mine. He had 3 Snow Troll Primes, a Thane on Frostfang, a Lord on Chimera, a Scald, a Lord on Foot with the Aura Brutal, 4 Night Raider regiments, 2 Huskarl regiments, and 1 Sons of Korgan with a Stang Stone. And I think one of the Huskarls maybe had J Boots or something. I can't remember. Completely different than my list. I'm all about the speed and the cav, and he only really had a couple of fast units. So, and man, let me tell you, those Night Raiders did some work. That game really came down to some unfortunate rolls on my end and against me. My left flank, which is the flank that we had figured I would win, had both my Sons and Slicksnear on it. I charged a Draugr unit and with my Sons, my Snow Foxes into his Sons to stall them out, and then Slicksnear into a Snow Troll Prime. And didn't kill his Sons, which that's fine. The Snow Foxes aren't supposed to. They're supposed to just stay there and keep them in place. I killed his Draugr, but Slicksnear, getting all 10 attacks and Brutal 2 against the Snow Troll Prime, only wavered it. And I was like, that's pretty rough. Because on average, I think I do 8 hits and then probably 6 wounds and then, Brutal 2, 8. So, I mean, like, it's a, 8 or 9, right? I mean, like, I'm not expecting to kill him, but I really needed to kill him. But more importantly was the fact that I also didn't kill him, but he was able to then back up the troll enough with it being wavered and charge Slicksnear and get an overrun into my Sons, because he charged Slicksnear with Huskarls, needed a 6 twice, got it, and then charged. He got the overrun into my Sons in the front and still was able to kill them, which I'm like, oh my gosh, man. Because on average, 20 attacks, he's going to get 17 hits, and he's needing 3s again, so he's going to get like 9 wounds. He's needing an 8, and 2 6s and an 8. Yeah, just, man, I couldn't believe he got there. And so I completely lost that flank, and that was pretty much the game. And at that point, he had also had some Night Raiders moved up. They have range 12 with their axes. He had like all 4 hit 1 Huskarl unit or something and killed them with just tons of axe throws, which was freaking awesome. I ended up killing his his Lord on Chimera, but I ended up with like a Lord on Frostfang left alive. That was it. He destroyed me. We were playing Dominate, and he just completely destroyed me. So I went 3-2, but overall, I actually won best overall. I had the best paint score there. I had, I think, the third highest sports score. And then my day 1 battle, I was at the very top of the pack after day 1. And I was ahead by a handful of points. And that gave me enough cushion that even losing my next 2 games, I was able to get best overall. So, and I did not expect it. After losing my 2 games, I thought I was out. I thought I was just done for. So I was just ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I got best overall still after all that, and so I was just thrilled. I'm happy for it, and just a big thanks to everybody who helped me get to this level to where I haven't gone 3-2 all year. I've been going like 2-3, and it's just been really rough. So that was the event. The trip home was rough again because 6 rounds is just. We got home at like 3 in the morning. I got home at like 4 in the morning, or that's when I was able to get to bed after getting everything unloaded anyways. And it was tough. We pretty much just drove straight through. The event overall was absolutely fantastic. Had an absolute blast with it. I think the biggest takeaway from all this for me, and then also Masters. Sorry, I didn't keep up with Masters a ton because I wasn't in the event. But Masters was won by Trident Realms, I believe. And so that's cool. And there was a lot of dwarves there apparently. So I think there was like 6 or 9 dwarf list or something like that. I can't remember. 69. So yeah. So and then final thoughts on kind of my list. I'll just harken back to what I said about the multi-regional thing. I think next time I need to be better prepared for other kinds of lists that exist in other regions. And then there's also the changes that just happened with Northern Alliance and Varangur. I'm going to try some Northern Alliance out because to me, Varangur and Northern Alliance are interchangeable. And so, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll check out Northern Alliance, see what changes they can provide. And then from there, if I don't like anything I build, I'm going to just keep trying with Varangur. And something I'm looking at with Varangur is right now with the changes that just happened, I got 20 points on my list. And the easiest change is just to add Inspiring Talisman to my Magus, which is something I've been wanting for a while anyways. But I'm also looking at possibly dropping the Lord on Frostfang because he lost an attack, and I've already been kind of on the fence about him for a while anyways. And so, he's like 190 points after the update. He was 200 on my list before, but now he's lost an attack too, and I'm like, that's just so many points for, I feel like not a lot. So I'm on the fence about getting rid of him. Maybe I'll bring in just another cheapo character and like some Draugr or something. Because Draugr seem really good. They just do a lot of objective play, and so we'll see what happens. The biggest role that the Lord on Frostfang plays is he babysits my cavalry. One of my sets of 2 cavalry are babysat by Slicksnear or the Lord because they need dragon protection usually. So like those 2, Slicksnear and the Lord can kind of like, oh, you charge my cavalry, you're going to get charged by me. And so, or they can, help block off charges and stuff. But they just project a threat that is necessary, and they also give Inspiring for my flanks. And they're fast enough to keep up with them. So, anyways, those are just some thoughts that I have about my list going forward. I'm excited. I'm going to be playing Varangur, I think up until, I'm thinking I'll qualify for Masters, hopefully. And I'll play Varangur all the way through to next year's Masters, and then I'm gonna try possibly Empire Dust or something else, but we'll just see what happens. That was the event, guys. I had an absolute blast with it. I'm really excited to go back and do this or Masters next year. I want to just give a big thanks to to Tim Royers, who is the host of the venue. He's like the one who runs the programs for the schools and stuff, and helps us get Bug Eater and this event organized. He's such a cool guy. I don't even think he plays Kings of War, but he acts like he's just another one of the members of the community. He acts like one of the bros, and that's awesome to his character. But also, I think that speaks to the level of the Kings of War community too. Is like how welcoming we are. Like he doesn't even play the game, I don't think, and here he is, like just fitting in right in. Like, we're just a bunch of nerds, and so. And also a big thanks to Kyle Brzezinski, who showed up from, he's like the U.S. rep for Mantic. I know it's not like he didn't do just a ton, but it means a lot, I think, for, have some kind of Mantic representation. And I think, I think we appreciate that more than we let on. And because it shows us that they actually care about what we're doing. And that's important. And something else, just like with Tim, Kyle does play Kings, which is awesome. But he's not just the Mantic guy. He's not the Mantic rep. He's one of the guys. He is one of, like, he goes out and eats dinners with us. He just has some fun. He's doing inside jokes with us. He sent me a message yesterday about after I my post with getting overall. He's like, "You got that dog in him," which is a running joke we've got. So I mean, he's one of the guys, and I love that, man. And I hope him and Tim both know that we welcome them so much, and they're a big part of this community. So beyond that, a big thanks to the organizers, Travis, Adam, Billy, Tim, Russ, Grant, the entire Outlanders Club. Absolute huge thanks to all of you guys. I'm sorry if I missed somebody, but you guys put on an amazing event, and you guys do so much work. I mean, and a handful of those guys gave up their master spots to run this event, and I think we as a Kings community need to recognize that and thank them for that. They gave up their biggest event of the year to make sure we could have ours. And that says so much to the character of that community. And that's the kind of people we need running these Masters events. And I know we rotate it between region and clubs, and it needs to stay that way. It needs to be like the Super Bowl, and because everybody should have a chance to host it. But those are the candidates we need to look for, are the ones that are willing to just kind of sacrifice it all. And I know they had a rough show of it this weekend with some of the stuff that happened with like the app and things. But guys, don't let that weigh on you. There's no way in the world that, I mean, anybody in their right mind had a bad time. There's nothing you guys could have done about some of that stuff, and I wouldn't let it weigh on you. I think it was a fantastic event, and you guys did everything you could to make sure we all had fun, and you succeeded. So keep your chins up. It's fantastic. And the last like official, political thank you is Warchest Creations, y'all. Tim, you are a huge part of this community. This is a different Tim, by the way. Sorry, Tim Lonis. He runs Warchest Creations. You've probably got bases or widgets from him. He donates stuff all the time. He's also a great resource to like help tournaments get affordable prize support with like their logos and stuff. Bison Brawl, we got a MDF cut stairs, which are like what we use to balance our models on wobbly terrain, with the Bison Brawl logo engraved into it. He just does so much cool stuff for this community, and he did a lot of the prize support for Masters. And I don't know that all of this stuff is done. He's not getting paid for a ton of stuff. He also did a lot of the tables for Masters. He helped get printed and helped paint the tables with Russ and Grant, I believe is what I was told, for Masters. So we wouldn't have had terrain to play on without Tim helping out. And so big shout out to Warchest Creations, amazing parts too, and amazing guy that's a huge part of this community. So beyond that, I need to give some special thanks from the bottom of my heart, for me as a specific individual, to just a few particular groups. And the first one's my club. The OK crew, Andrew and Lance and Mark and Bill and Tucker and Lance again, the other Lance, and so many more, my new guys that have been jumping in that hopefully will start to go to GTs with us and become part of the OK crew. I just thank all of you guys. I couldn't do all these events without you, and I mean, I would still play, but it's so much easier to go to events, not even just from a financial perspective, even though that is a big part of it. It's so much easier to go to an event with people rather than alone, because, I mean, if I had to drive 8 hours by myself last night, that would have been a real challenge. But there was 4 of us together, making sure we got home safe, and also they're safe, and then also it's a lot easier to have other people there encouraging you. And you guys also, I mean, you make events successful, but you also at home are always available there if I really need to get practice in for an event, or if I have questions about a list, or just you're a huge part of the community, and you're basically extended family to me. So I love you guys, and I know we have our own way of expressing that love. We're a bit rambunctious, and we're a bit snarky and rude with each other, but it's all in good fun. And I know at the end of the day that regardless of what anybody has said to each other or how we might feel, we're there for each other and we care about each other. So thank you guys so much for that. And then that thank you also extends into the mountain region itself. I got Travis and Billy and Adam and Tim and Russ and Grant, all the guys in our region, Stephen DeRose, Grant and Tyler, so many more. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, the whole region. I'm not going to list a whole region's of names, but we have a whole region's worth of family. I get to see you guys all the time, all year, and you are also part of my extended family, and you help me get the drive I need to go compete and be better, and you make me feel so welcomed. And like this was awesome. This year, going to go see you guys at Bug Eater, and then see you guys again exactly a month later, and just get to hang out again and have that love with each other. So big thank you guys for that. The last couple here are, I mean, this one also really hits home for me, and it's Mike from Edmond Unplugged. I mean, you know, you guys that have somewhere to play and a local game store to play at, just remind them how thankful you are to them that you have the ability to play somewhere. And this is me telling Mike, you know, thank you so much for, you know, allowing me to go get games at your store with all my games that I play, and to practice and to try to build communities. And you make an amazing stomping ground and location for communities to grow and for people to get to practice and be better at games. And so just a really big thank you, Mike, for that. I know we've known each other for years now, and you're just incredibly supportive. And just a big thank you so much for that. And the last one is Adam Ballard, who's our region chairman, and he won Masters 2022. Humble brag. Adam, you and I have known each other for years as well, and I want to just give you a specific thanks because you have understood my desire to get better this year and last, and you really helped cultivate that. You have understood me saying, I want to do this, and you have a constructive conversation with me saying, okay, this is how we do this without you losing every game. And you just do an amazing job at, you know, running this community, but also specifically to me, you've just helped me out so much, become a better player between online games and talking about list, and you've just been such an amazing resource to me, and I really appreciate that. So to end everything out, thank you everybody, thank you my opponents, thank you organizers, thank you my club. I love all of you guys. I had such an amazing time at Bug Eater. I'm really excited for the next one. I'm really so excited to see where Kings of War goes now, and I think my goal is if I go to Masters, I'm going to try to go 3-3. That's my goal, because Masters is a hard field. So we'll see if I can break even, and that's my goal, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know if you have anything to say, if I missed something, or if there's anything else you want to see. I'll be doing a video for LSO next weekend after I go compete in Star Wars Legion, so look for that to come out, and see you guys next time.